Hello and welcome to this edition of Wineskins. I'm your host, Father Jim Korda. Wineskins features reflections on the lives of the saints and the sacred scriptures, along with thoughts on a variety of topics and issues from a Catholic perspective. It is brought to you by the Annual Bishop's Appeal, the Catholic Communication Campaign, and St. Paul's Catholic Books and Gifts, a division of the Society of St. Paul. On our show today, we will enjoy an interview that I have with President Richard Jusseaume, the outgoing president of Walsh University in Canton. We will also look at the life and times of St. Junipero Serra, and we will hear a reflection on the readings for this 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time. That and more coming up on Wineskins. In our current issue today, I will speak with one of the newly ordained transitional deacons of the Diocese of Youngstown. With me now is Deacon Matthew Zwilling. Welcome to Wineskins.
Thank you.
You know, one of the wonderful things I've experienced about you is your gift of song and music. You have that great gift, and I hope you can continue to share it. You share it through some of our liturgical events at St. Columba Cathedral. Why do you like to sing, and why is this gift such a blessing to you?
Yeah, I do love to sing. It's just something that I have a lot of experience in it, but it's also just something that does kind of lift your spirit. And, I try to always take it in a spirit of prayer and reverence. And when I do that, if it can become a prayer, then it makes it all the better.
It's interesting, as a deacon and as a priest, we will engage in lots of liturgical events. Why is prayer and worship so vital, not only to our lives as ministers, but also to the lives of people in the body of Christ?
Yeah, that's the whole core of it is just your relationship with God. And He's the one who created us, and it's only by Him that we exist. So, if you don't have prayer, then you really have lost the core of who you are. So it's essential.
It's interesting because prayer comes in different forms, different ways, and we find ourselves, each of us, praying in different ways. What are some of the things that you like to do, or some of the exercises that you engage in prayer?
I guess my number one, what I try to make everything flow from is just the Mass and being able to be very present at the Mass and to worship there and just let everything else kind of be liturgical in the prayer and all leading back to that.
We know that your pastoral experience was at Our Lady of Peace up in Ashtabula. Yes. We were talking about the weather in the wintertime, but we won't dwell on that. But talk about the wonderful folks that you experienced up there in Ashtabula and the parish that you were ministering to.
In Ashtabula, Our Lady of Peace, Father Ray Thomas was a great mentor for me. And all the people there, so supportive and willing to pray for you all the time. I've really appreciated just everything that they've done, being able to support me in that vocation and giving me the confidence that, I can really do this. That's been very important for me.
Tell us some of the ministry that you did while you were at Our Lady of Peace.
Well, I worked with the youth group there trying to get something solid and something started, a little bit with the altar servers and CCD, just basically anywhere that I could plug myself into and get as much experience as I can, especially teaching, RCIA, and these other places.
Was there something you really liked doing? And as you look forward to priesthood ordination, something that you really will like doing?
Yeah, always, I guess it just always goes back to the Mass for me, and being able to altar serve and being able to train servers, I guess, was a pretty good experience. So just to be close to the liturgy and close to the mysteries that are happening there. As
you look forward to the future, and as we all as a diocese look forward to the future, we know that we are living in an age of fewer priests, fewer Catholics coming to church, fewer in our Catholic population. What advice would you like to give that would be a sense of hope to people, and also to our seminarians as they look forward to ordination themselves?
When it comes to evangelization, it always just has to come from, it's got to be something that's authentic. It's been something that I've struggled with through the years, that to evangelize doesn't mean you have to put on some kind of an air, some kind of a character, but you have to be able to be yourself, and really it comes from a communion with Christ, and if you have that, then it's going to overflow to other people, and it should happen naturally, really.
Tell us what you like to do in your spare time when you're not doing diaconal work or as you embark on priesthood, because I think we are like normal people who enjoy life.
Sure.
What are some of the things that you like to do?
Yeah, at seminary we have a lot of opportunities for sports and that kind of thing, so I love soccer, volleyball when we get the chance. If I'm by myself and I have some time, maybe I'll play some video games. I enjoy that. Of course, music is a great outlet. There's always something to do there.
And what would you like to tell the folks that are with us, especially about your life previously as a seminarian and now as a deacon, and looking forward to priesthood, what do you want to tell people to do for you or to think about you or just in general?
Right. Pray for me for sure. That makes a big difference, and I can say that through the years I've felt the effects of people's prayers, and I know that has an effect. People are always so supportive of their priests and their seminarians. So I don't have any qualms about that, but yeah, keep us in prayer, and that's going to be the best thing for us, for sure.
And one final word to the seminarians that are still studying.
Carry on. Keep going, and the number one thing is always your relationship with God in prayer and your relationship with Christ, and as long as that's the center of your life and what you have your eyes fixed upon, then you're going to be fine.
Deacon Matthew Zwilling, thank you so much for being with us.
Okay.
And we wish you well in your new ministry as a deacon, but also as you look forward to becoming a priest. And we ask the Lord to bless you and your classmates with all God's good blessings.
Great. Thank you so much, Father Korda.
For Wineskins, I'm Father Jim Korda. To tell us more about the life and times of St. Junipero Serra is Tom McCarthy. He is from St. Charles Church in Boardman.
José Miguel Serra was born in Mallorca, Spain in 1713. 17 years later, he joined the Franciscan order, taking the name of Junipero. After ordination, he received a doctorate in theology and taught philosophy at the local university. In 1749, he sailed for Mexico, and en route, he preached his first sermon in the Americas at San Juan, Puerto Rico. For the next 9 years, he preached extensively throughout Mexico and held numerous administrative offices for the Holy Inquisition. In 1767, Mexico expelled all the Jesuits, and Junipero was chosen president over the missions in Lower California. When the Spaniards took over Upper California in 1769, Junipero accompanied the Spanish forces to San Diego, California, where he founded the first mission in that territory. In the following year, he established his headquarters at Monterey Carmel, California, and in subsequent years, he established 9 missions in California. When Junipero followed the traditional Spanish method for administering missions, he frequently came into conflict with the civil and military authorities because of their mistreatment of the Indians. Contrary to legend, he did not walk from mission to mission, but rode on a mule or horse, accompanied by a military guard. His dedication to the Indians resulted in some 6,000 baptisms. He died in San Carlos Mission in Carmel, California, and was buried with military honors. In 1931, his statue was placed on the Hall of Fame in Washington, D.C. In 1935, the Serra Club was founded in Seattle, Washington, to foster vocations and to promote Catholicism throughout the United States. It was officially established as Serra International in 1938. Junipero Serra was beatified by St. Pope John Paul II in 1988 and canonized by Pope Francis in 2015 at the Shrine of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C., on his first visit to the United States. When Junipero requested permission to go to America as a missionary, he stated at his request, "All my life, I have wanted to be a missionary. I have wanted to carry the gospel message to those who have never heard of God and the kingdom He has prepared for them. But I became proud and allowed myself to be distracted by academic studies. Now I am filled with remorse that my ambition has been so long delayed." At his homily at the beatification ceremony, St. Pope John Paul II said that Junipero Serra was a shining example of Christian virtue and the missionary spirit. His great good was to bring the gospel to the native peoples of America, so that they too might be consecrated to the truth. In the opening prayer of the Mass, our petition is that we too may be inspired by his example to be faithful witnesses to Jesus Christ. Indeed, the Second Vatican Council has called upon all Christians, regardless of their state of life, to be missionaries and evangelizers, especially by the example of their Christian lives. The opening prayer of the Mass states, "God Most High, your servant Junipero Serra brought the gospel of Christ to the people of Mexico and California and firmly established the Church among them. but his intercession through the example of his evangelical zeal inspire us to be faithful witnesses of Jesus Christ. For Wineskins, I'm Tom McCarthy.
I'm talking with President Richard Jusseaume from Walsh University. One of the areas that I'd like us to talk about is the international aspect of the university. It's not just located in North Canton, Ohio, but there's satellites.
That's true. You know, I first got to Walsh in 1963 as a student from Massachusetts. And even at that beginning, even in that very first graduating class, we had students from New Brunswick, from Seychelles Islands, from Uganda. Because from the very beginning, the founding brothers themselves had a presence in about 26 countries. So an international environment was important to them. As that continued, though, over the years, we never, in those first 20 years or so, actively recruited international students. And now we do, with the result that this year, 35 different countries represented. The newest building on campus is called the Global Learning Center, partly because we wanted our students to walk off that academic quadrangle into this new facility and feel that they had left Stark County, they had left Ohio, and they were watching on a huge screen a class going on in Castel Gandolfo near Rome, or a class in Uganda, or our students working with children in Uruguay. The feeling being that we're all part of a global population, which we really are. But what's wonderful as well is, obviously, not every student is going to travel abroad, though that's available to every student. But these 37 students bring their cultures, their own ideas. It's like a mini United Nations. Once a year, the International Club has a dinner. And each of the 35 countries represented, the students themselves cook their own ethnic foods. Almost 500 people come to that. They host it, they cook it, they serve it, they entertain with singing and dancing and native costumes. And all of a sudden, the students from Ohio and Indiana and Pennsylvania are looking around and thinking, wow, this is a whole different world. And we think that's part of education. We think that's part of them having a sense that we're all God's children. We're all eminently deserving of dignity and respect. And we get to experience and feel a little bit of that on campus with the opportunity to study abroad in many, many programs that we have.
You know, I often think what a wonderful role you have as not only as president of the university, but as a mentor for young people. You know, I think of young people present in our churches nowadays. That presence is not as visible as it once was, perhaps. What do you do, or what can you help us understand of what the need is for the young people in our communities and in our churches? What can we do, or how can we learn from them?
I think part of it at times is we have our own prejudice of they don't want to go to church. They don't want to do this. They don't want to pray. They don't want to say rosary. We have found the opposite is true. If you come to the 8 p.m. Mass on Sundays, that chapel is full of students who don't have to be there, but choose to be there. A number of families in the area who are having a little trouble getting those teenagers to come to Mass, they bring in the Walsh at 8 o'clock on Sunday night, where they're among 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are singing, who are respectful, who pray, who receive communion. But beyond that, it is the students themselves who have organized adoration on Mondays and Thursdays from noon till 8 p.m. It's the students who attend adoration every day, a half hour before every Mass. It's the students who form their own prayer groups in the residence halls. I think sometimes we adults don't give them enough credibility. Given the opportunity, given the environment, given it's a priest or a campus minister or someone to work with, they are tremendous at responding. We've been doing pilgrimages now for over 10 years. There is no problem recruiting students for a 2-week pilgrimage. We have to believe more in them and take an assumptive approach that they want to. But sometimes we have to get out of the way and let them do it in their own way.
good advice. During this anniversary year, we think of those people that have inspired us over these many years. Who has inspired you, or what has inspired you to do what you do, not only in your professional life, but also in your personal life?
Well, I suppose part of it is fear. My wife keeps elbowing, kicking me, and telling me, hey, I'm going to heaven. You really do want to come along. But I think beyond that, over the years at Walsh, I was there the day that Mother Teresa, now St. Teresa of Calcutta, was on campus. And she talked about the need to take care of our children and to take care of our families. And she actually said that she felt sorry for Americans in a way. She considered us one of the poorest countries in the world because we didn't have time to have dinner with our children. We didn't have time to spend time in families. We had so much to do. She was inspiring. Some of the brothers who came through, who were teaching, who were living there in the early days on $1.09 per person per day, who were in administration, who taught, who planted trees, who helped mow the lawn. They truly believed that if they planted seeds, God would bring the harvest. And I saw that as a student. I saw it as a young administrator. I saw it with a man named Brother Francis Bluen, who spent 14 years as president, who always said, if we're not making a difference, we don't have a right to exist as a university. And those kinds of people were really inspiring. Lots of them on campus.
Yes. Well, President Jusseaume, as we celebrate the diocese's 75th anniversary, we know that Walsh is an intimate part of that. And we thank you for the work that you're doing there, but also for the lives that you are touching in a significant way. So we thank you for that. And we want you to know that our prayers and best wishes for you personally and for your staff and for your wonderful students.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us. Have a good day, and God be with you. For more information and to listen to Wineskins, please visit the website www.doi.org of the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown for more information. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, I am Bishop George Murray. Last year, over 17,000 Catholic households supported the work of our church family. Please join us in our efforts to have 100% participation in our annual Bishop's Appeal this year. How exactly can you help us meet that goal? You can do that with your daily prayers for the success of our appeal efforts, or by donating through your parish towards the $4.2 million goal, which makes our ministries possible in the Diocese of Youngstown, or by your spirit of volunteerism in your local parish and community. Won't you please join us in this annual appeal effort in faith, hope, and charity?
$33 million Americans have descended into poverty. And as their futures fall, so does our nation's.
Our music today is provided by the Kellenberg Memorial High School Choir. It is from their CD called In His Presence.
Fathered me with such a
On this, the 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we will hear more about the sacred scriptures by Deacon Mike Kojancic. He is from St. Charles Church in Boardman.
If you were offered a position with no monetary benefits, there would be outright hostility, frequent misunderstandings, and no sense of security. Would you accept that position? Even if it included a possibility of a great benefit package, you would wonder, why would I want to go through all of that for something I might achieve down the road? However, what we don't realize is that position is already given us. It began with our initiation into the faith through our baptism. We became a disciple of Christ, and with it comes all of the above. Being a true believer entails loss and sometimes great pain, but we can't put on Christ without taking something else off of our lives. While he is proceeding to Jerusalem, there are 3 important exchanges today that remind us of discipleship. In the first, an unnamed person announces unlimited loyalty to Jesus and will follow him. It sounds reasonable, but Jesus responds by highlighting his homelessness as he travels to Jerusalem, spreading the good news about his Father. He was destined to travel from place to place to preach the good news. What about us? Do we want to be a disciple just in our own parish or in our own homes where we feel secure? Or are we willing to preach and live the good news wherever we find ourselves? That's what it cost to be a disciple. In the second exchange, Jesus invites someone to follow him, but the man wants to wait to fulfill his obligation to bury his father. It sounds reasonable, but if the father was already dead, wouldn't he be involved with the burial details? So why the delay? The father must still be alive. What about us? Do we want to delay being a disciple to some later date, perhaps when we think we are more educated, more spiritual, when being a disciple fits more into our agenda? Or are we willing to preach and live the good news whenever and wherever God asks us to share this mission? That's the cost of discipleship. In the third exchange, a man says that he will follow Jesus after saying goodbye to his family. It sounds reasonable, but Jesus says if you keep looking back, you're not ready. That appears odd when considering the first reading, where Elijah let Elisha go back to take care of his family. But if we read further in that first reading, we see that Elisha slaughtered his ox and used his plow for the fuel, boiled the flesh, and gave it to his family and friends to eat. Elisha was giving up something old to attain something new. But with Jesus, the command is even stricter. Nothing is to take priority over the kingdom. What about us? Are we willing to serve and follow, but only when convenient to do so, and when we don't have to give something up? Or are we willing to each and every day, realizing that serving him can't help but improve the way we serve others, such as our family, our friends, our parish, and our community? Luke's Jesus calls for detachment from anyone or anything which hinders a full and total response to God. He demands his disciples to be completely free from such earthly detachments, to be free to be attached to the kingdom. It is a freedom to serve all out of love, not out of obligation. It offers no monetary benefits. At times, being a disciple brings about outright hostility, frequent misunderstandings among family and friends. But being a disciple also guarantees an attractive benefit package, including retirement in paradise. For Wineskins, I'm Deacon Mike Kojancic.
Every day that we live, we actually travel with Christ. That is one of the most important things that we will ever do and must do. Our whole life depends on it. Wineskins is made possible through the annual Bishop's Appeal, the Catholic Communication Campaign, and St. Paul's Catholic Books and Gifts. Our program is produced by CTNY, the Catholic Telecommunications Network of Youngstown. I'm Father Jim Korda, thanking you for being with us today. Have a blessed and safe holiday week.
What have you done for your marriage today?
I gave my wife a hug this morning. I told her I love her.
I did her hair this morning. I think it looks pretty good.
I cooked my husband's favorite breakfast.
I bought her an orchid.
What have I done for my marriage today? I sent my husband a love email.
I read the newspaper to my wife, and it cracked her up. But she's still laughing.
What have you done for your marriage today? Make a change for the better. Need help? Go to foryourmarriage.org, a message from the Catholic Church.
They say America is the land of opportunity, but for some, life isn't so easy. Right now in America, 1 in 6 children lives below the poverty line. That's nearly 13 million children of all races, all across our country. Where do you draw the line and get involved? You can make a difference in more ways than you think. Go to povertyusa.org today, because 1 in 6 children in poverty is one too many. A message from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.